everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka, and we are back with another Twitter thread. Today we're talking about Mandela effects. If you're unfamiliar, the Mandela effect is a theory that all of the little things that you sort of misremembered were actually caused by universal changes, shifts to a parallel world in which everything sans the singular thing you misremembered is exactly the same. To what nefarious purpose are these changes leading? I don't know. I think it's just some people want their lives to be more exciting. But today we're going to talk about how that phenomenon manifests in Yu-Gi-Oh! Some cards that you are pretty sure did something else. And we're going to begin with my favorite example, Sunavalon Drass. If you're unfamiliar with this card, if link summoned in the extra monster zone using genus Loci, can add a Sunvine spell trap from your deck to your hand. There's no once per turn on that at all. You know, it doesn't happen too much these days because the card's at 1, but theoretically, when this was at 3, you could get that off a couple of times. The thing preventing it from triggering a whole bunch of times is that it's hard to clear the EMZ, not that this card is once per turn. In fact, the new direYGO builds of the deck do shuffle this card back into the extra and have the capacity through like a lone fire line to clear out the EMZ and trigger that sucker again. Let's see what you all came up with. Dimax says, for a brief, beautiful moment, I thought Chaos Giant was only unaffected by your opponent's spell trap effects. I thought Ancient Gear Duel could therefore make it functionally a full towers. This one's frustrating because it also makes sense. This is an Ancient Gear card. This is the Ancient Gear boss, but it's like, no. If this vanilla couldn't be stopped by cards or effects, then it'd be far too strong. It might have been in Duel Links, or maybe a miscoding in Edo Pro, or an excellently made series of proxies, but I swear that Swords of Revealing Light included the sentence, flip effects are not activated at this time. This got me too. There's an episode of History where I just fire swords, reveal Moth, and I'm like, yay! And Alex is like, what are you yaying about? But I'm not alone. Look at this. This is the answer to the thread. I swear the card used to say flip monsters effects aren't activated. Everyone had this experience. Even I remember thinking this. It doesn't? I remember that too. It must have been an older version. I'm 200% sure that was on the card in the OG printing. No! You're all wrong! This is the OGest printing ever! In fact, not only does it not say that, it says the exact opposite. The last sentence is, any effects of the monsters are immediately activated. I think what people are misremembering is there's a second card that flips face down monsters face up that was played during the same period as Swords of Revealing Light, Ceasefire. Ceasefire does include the line of text, flip effects are not activated at this time, and I think people just got into their head the cards that flip up don't trigger effects. Har's Hand Rip is a soft once per turn. So if you can get it back on board after tributing, you get another Hand Rip. What the fuck? That's the only effect on the card that is a soft once per turn. The other effect is a hard. Stop putting a hard and a soft on the same fucking card. Doug's got a great one. I was able to win a lot of matches back in the day. People didn't realize Meluseek's Send is not a once per turn. So if you attack directly with 2 different copies, you can eat the board. Look at this response. The secret tech. I swear this card used to be able to hit field spells that searched on activation. Once I found out it didn't, I realized how many times not only myself, but also my opponents have cheated at locals, on DB, etc. You sound like every single DB opponent I've ever had in my entire life. Ah, yes, the Good Boys Graveyard Revival has to be a once, otherwise you'd always have link material with Vsauce. Surely the field search is also a once? Realizing this can send itself from field to negate when Quem released opened up a whole new dimension in my mind. What? No. Oh my god, it's Ghost Ogre. Did she edit this? Yeah, I'm like... All right. The effect of Skullcrabat Joker was never a hard once per turn. This is very funny, but a significant amount of cards are like this. Cards with effects that trigger on normal summon don't bother putting once per turns on them because, like, when are you ever going to normal summon twice in one turn? Then there was this one format where people played this one card called Seraphinite and it became an issue. This card targets, right? I'm sure it targets. It definitely targets. Why on earth wouldn't a card like this target? So I'm sure it's fine if I let it activate while my opponent only has a Dark Beckoning Beast in the graveyard. Raycora says, I thought Infinite Impermanence was a hard once per turn, which doesn't seem bad, except I topped back-to-back YCS's thinking this. I'd just set one and keep the other in hand because I thought I couldn't use both, so I may as well play around evenly and such. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I thought this until I read this post. I was like, wait, huh? I swear to God, God, I have seen deck profiles where people are playing Valor over Imperm, and people are like, why are you playing Valor over Imperm? And they're like, oh, well, you know, like, you can fire more than one Valor per turn. And I'm like, yes, of course, yeah, so that's very true. Me about to lose hope when I see the triple tactics talents hit the field, but then I remember Barrel Canary does something other than boost attack. Why the fuck does this card prevent change of hearting? You literally added that. That's not on the card. Started playing after toss, and for some reason, Sunlight Wolf had quantum attack points for the first year and a half I played. It had anywhere between 1,000 and 2,300 at any given time, and I could not tell you why. It did move. It did move. It was like you could spinny it potentially. Sometimes it was transcoded. Didn't feel like it was 1,800 for the first couple of years. Playing Edison and realizing this card has a hard once per turn. This was news to me as well. Cards from 2006 aren't supposed to be well designed. I remember it came up when Alex and I were like playing Jank, and it was like, okay, I'll instant fusion make an 8, instant fusion make an 8. Huh? That's not an errata? No, it's on the first print. It's like, oh, there are 2 Ghost Trick monsters whose effects when flipped are optional, which means they are the only ones that can miss timing? What? Why did they make Jiangshi optional? Why did they make Fairy optional? It came out in 2022. These guys gain more effects every time I read them. I didn't even know these guys had effects. Imseti, oh yeah, it specials itself from the graveyard and becomes half of a zombie vampire. I got it. But no, they have effects. In fact, Duamatef draws 4? They are just adding text to these every time you take a look at them. Do you know what this one does? If a card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect while this is in your monster zone, target 2 cards that are banished or in the graveyard, either add both to hand or shuffle both into the deck. They play this one. When Nightmares came out in 2018, I spent an entire format convinced that Cerberus could pop any monster. It took me summoning it to deal with a set Fossil Dyna in a live streamed feature at Nats before the table judge pointed out, no, you can't do that. Many such cases. I thought the hand rip effect triggered if it was targeted by anything, not just monster effects. I've had people in tournament do this to me. Like, oh, okay, let me see your hand. And I'm like, let you see my what? No, book that sucker. Get him down. Now that we have irrefutable proof that cards are being changed before our very eyes, we must ask ourselves the follow-up question, why? What nefarious scheme is Konami plotting? How are they going to utilize their immense power? I urge you to think critically and remember more than anything else. Bye-bye. Oh, ho, 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 I put card from other game in here. Ho, 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 ho. You literally read Questing Beast? Well, that's different. That game's good.